What's going on, guys? So, today we're going to do a stock pick of the week. This week we're going to talk about Nikola. So, this is an electric vehicle manufacturer. Specifically, they manufacture trucks. They have their BEV and their FCEV models. So, that is your battery electric vehicle, battery powered electric vehicle, and then your fuel cell powered electric vehicle. So, they are a electric vehicle company similar to Tesla, and actually the name Nikola is um, a bit of a play on the Tesla name, because Nikola Tesla was the inventor of a lot of electromagnetic and you know inventions that use electricity to power batteries or whatever. So that's why they use the name Nikola, and the name Tesla for obviously Tesla. These two companies are competing, and obviously Tesla is a bit of a bigger name. They are an older company. Elon Musk is a pretty big player in, I would say, the American economy, or even just in the American kind of um, electric vehicle community. Elon Musk has kind of been the pioneer of electric vehicles for a long time, and his Tesla company has been doing very well. Now, there's a lot of things that you're going to see. The differences between Tesla and Nikola are pretty big, especially in terms of what they're trying to do and offer. So as you can almost see right here from their front page, Nikola, they are trying to get into kind of the truck, so the trucking. So this is to be used for a lot of companies that transport products. So big transport trucks, these kind of big utility vehicles, bigger trucks that the Tesla brand is not focusing on. So the Tesla brand is focusing more on small cars, more on the commercial consumer, more for the average person that wants to have an electric vehicle. Tesla is more focusing towards them, whereas Nikola is more focusing on the truck side of things, so the bigger kind of more bulky vehicles that can move things and also kind of off-road. But there's also that transportation aspect, whereas they want to provide companies with the ability to go cleaner, so to basically use green energy to transport their products by using electric vehicles instead of using gas-powered transport trucks that are extremely problematic to the environment. And this is why they are filling kind of a need that Tesla is not. And Nikola has realized that, hey, there is a big opportunity for electric vehicles, especially in the transport truck industry, especially in the commercial truck industry. So one of the big things that happened today is that GM announced that they have taken an 11% stake in Nikola. So the stock has shot up almost 53% today, after GM announced this morning that they are purchasing 11% of the company. So you can see over the past over the past few sessions, they have kind of been going back and forth. They had their IPO a few months ago, and they have kind of been jumping around ever since. But for the most part, they have remained above the $30 level. As you see, they had a high of almost $100 back after their initial IPO, and they've kind of been trending to the downside ever since. But with this announcement of GM purchasing 11% of the company, it's sent the stock skyrocketing from $30 all the way up to almost $50. And it's starting to pull back a little bit now, but it is doing very well after the announcement of this news. So it is a pretty good catalyst as well, right? So one of the things you're going to see when you start reading this is GM took a $2 billion stake in Nikola, and that General Motors will produce its marquee hydrogen fuel cell electric pickup truck, the Badger, by the end of 2022. So this is the Badger here, and GM will be producing these trucks for commercial sale by the end of 2022. So in 2 years, you're going to see GM putting out hydrogen fuel cell vehicles made by Tesla, known as the Badger. And it's one of those things that you're starting to see a lot of interest coming into Nikola, and you're starting to see a lot of growth in this kind of transport trucking slash pickup truck industry. So these are, like I said, filling this need that Tesla is not filling. Tesla does not have any trucks they do have a truck, but the one truck they have is very expensive and very bulky. It's not a sleek looking kind of like this Badger here, and it doesn't have the power or the trucking ability that these have. So these transport trucks that they have are capable of transporting huge loads like 18-wheelers, and these transport trucks are capable of pulling very, very, very heavy loads that allow them to transport goods from position to position, and allows for companies to reduce their carbon footprint by integrating this new zero emission truck, either the fuel cell energy vehicles or the battery powered energy vehicles. This allows them to kind of bring a new wave of green energy and reduce their carbon footprint, and also reduce their energy costs, or I should say their gas costs. Their costs for transporting goods will be reduced. Obviously not right away, because they have to put up such a big investment into these vehicles. But after their first few years, after these trucks kind of are able to pull for a certain amount of years, they will kind of work themselves off, and then they will basically just be very efficient, low carbon footprint vehicles that allow for companies to look a lot better when it comes to this new age kind of investors, and these people that don't want to be investing in the fossil fuel industry anymore, that are tired of seeing gas and oil and all of these companies kind of run the vehicle industry. And Tesla has kind of changed things, and Nikola is now starting to prove that there can be alternative options, especially when it comes to trucking. And so you'll see here the strategic partnerships that are starting to be created between Nikola and a lot of these other companies. So one of the things that they're doing is setting up fueling stations and signing agreements with these large companies that allow for them to produce, like this one, this Anheuser-Busch agreement allows for them to produce up to 800 trucks for Anheuser-Busch, and they're obviously a beer company that would need to ship their product. So using Nikola trucks allows them to reduce their carbon footprint and cheapen their energy costs over the next few years. So these deals just keep coming in between Bosch, Anheuser-Busch, and then you'll see Ryder, which is basically one of the largest rental truck companies in the United States, and in Canada as well. So they are making these kind of joint ventures and supply agreements to allow them to produce these vehicles for these companies, and this gives them a guaranteed need, and not only need but also a guaranteed source of income over the next few years. As you see here, Ryder is the largest truck leasing company in the U.S. with over 800 service centers and 6,000 highly trained technicians. and they have an exclusive sales and service partnership with Nikola to produce trucks for their kind of leasing company. So Nikola had made a partnership between the CNH Industrial, and this allowed them to create one of the largest truck, bus, and light commercial vehicle manufacturers in Europe, South America, and Asia, with over 175,000 annual unit volume. So purchasing over 175,000 vehicles a year. And it says here how this partnership significantly de-risks Nikola operation execution by leveraging the expertise and capabilities of one of the world's largest leading commercial vehicle manufacturers. So that's one of the reasons why they're partnering with companies like CNH Iveco, because it allows them to basically give the technology and their business expertise with the backing of a much larger, much already more profitable company that allows them to use their resources and their kind of larger cap status to upgrade Nikola's initial cash flow and also profit margins, because it allows them to produce vehicles and to get partnerships a lot quicker, because other companies are starting to realize that Nikola has partnered with these large vehicle manufacturers, which means that they're meeting their deadlines, and they're also producing vehicles that are worth being invested in. So it just, a lot of this is just talking about kind of the difference between their different manufacturers, and also the kind of where they see a lot of their sales happening throughout the next year. So as you see these kind of different companies that they kind of want to partner with, or that will be eventually using their products to transport, because they want to reduce their footprints as well. Amazon, Walmart, UPS being some of the largest transportation services, or at least delivery services you'll find in North America and throughout the world for that matter. And the other thing that Nikola is getting into, other than their kind of transport truck and pickup truck business, is they're getting into the power sports business. So these kind of new you would say like all-terrain utility vehicles, or even like these Speedoos, or they allow you to get into these other markets that are very, very profitable and are in demand, right? And so you can see here they've signed an agreement, or that the Marine Corps' new reckless vehicle is a stealthy beast. So that's this vehicle here. So they're producing these military grade vehicles for commercial sale, but also for military if they request them, right? And they say they're off-highway vehicles. So these are all vehicles that are not meant to go on the highway, but are meant to, that can be driven on other streets, or obviously backroading, and kind of that's where you'll find their main use is kind of off-roading. So this is just another way for them to, make profits, but also get into another industry that is overlooked by Tesla, by a lot of the other electric vehicles. You can say Ideanomics, all of these other companies that are looking to produce electric vehicles, and NIO, and none of them are getting into these kind of power sports or these off-roading type of vehicles, which do provide extra profit margins and are probably cheaper to manufacture, obviously, than their large trucks and even than commercial vehicles, because they are so much lighter and so much more kind of reliant on not having to pull large loads, not having to deal with large charging capacity, because a lot of these are simply used for fun and for off-roading. But obviously the military grade vehicles are going to have a better capacity than some of the other ones in terms of their life and their durability and their strength, simply because they're being manufactured for the military. And as you go down, you just start to see that their core team of executives are all well versed, and together they have over 100 years of industry experience in the electric vehicle field, and in dealing with a lot of these other larger corporations. As you see, a lot of them come from these companies like Walmart, like Huntsman, like Kenworth, Ford, Chrysler, GM, Tesla. All of these companies, BMW, Chrysler, like, these people have been, throughout the industry and have all gravitated towards Nikola and believe that they're going to be the next big thing. So it just kind of shows you that they have a lot of experience and a lot of connections, a lot of networking between their executives and their board of directors. And as you go down, you're just going to see, they're showing you the reduction of emissions and how much, their zero emission vehicles will help and will eventually they will target the largest private and dedicated fleets. So obviously you're seeing here, so those that use the largest trucking and transporting of goods, like I was saying, like Pepsi, Amazon, Walmart, these companies, they're trying to break into those businesses and show, hey, we can offer you a zero emission solution to your trucking and delivery services, which are some of the largest greenhouse gas producing vehicles and services, because as you're delivering every day, you're producing all of this greenhouse gas, and they can reduce this by simply converting to electric vehicles, and Nikola is there to offer those services. So so you're seeing here kind of their different options they have. So they have their 7-year lease for 700,000 miles, which is quite high. Most gas-powered vehicles cannot reach that kind of level of miles without at least starting to fall apart or, being a piece of crap. So it just shows you here, they have better performance. They're outperforming diesel and battery trucks in range, horsepower, and torque, shorter recharge time than battery electric trucks. So, they're showing that their vehicles and that their technology is superior to almost every other electric vehicle manufacturer, and that their new fuel cell energy vehicles, their hydrogen powered vehicles, are going to replace diesel for the major option for transport trucking and for any form of large trucking or large transportation services. And a lot of this just talks about how much money they're making per truck lease, how much each of their vehicles are being sold for. As you see, there's a 30% profit margin, which is decent, but these vehicles are very expensive currently. As I said, over time, you'll see that the price might be worth it, but currently they are very expensive. But their technology is superior, and these trucks will last if they're lasting 700 miles, that's more than double what a regular, I would say even sometimes 3 times what a regular gas powered vehicle will last in terms of miles, in terms of range. So it's a pretty good trade-off there if that is in fact true. And they are starting to build these fuel stations. So they are trying to build kind of like Tesla. They want to have fuel centers and fueling stations mainly for their hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. So these large transport trucking, they want to have kind of their models. So this is their model for their charging stations. So they want to have these kind of set up along these kind of highly trafficked routes throughout the United States, so that they can offer these charging services and allow them to be, quick charging, very easy to get to, kind of, easily accessible, quick charge, and allows you to have these transport services running and being able to, stop where you're regularly going to stop for lunch or whatever. You just fuel up your, charge up your truck, and then boom, you're back in after you come out from get in your lunch or whatever, have a quick nap, and then you're back on the road fully charged, right? So that's their kind of main goals, and they talk about their energy use and how much electricity it takes to charge their vehicles. So that's interesting. Not really too interested in that currently. They do, with their partnerships with Anheuser-Busch, they are starting to produce some of these locations. As you see, they're AB pilot stations, so they're kind of their Anheuser-Busch pilot stations they're using to power their vehicles as they transport their products across the country. And by 2022, they will be finishing their hydrogen station, or they'll be utilizing their fleet test beta trucks until their hydrogen stations are available in 2022. And like I said, they're anticipating developing a hydrogen station near each brewery location to provide access to each distribution center. So as they go to their new location, they'll stop, they'll pick up their product, and then or drop off, and then they'll go charge, and then boom, on to the next station, right? So that's kind of their main goal and their main kind of strategy in terms of their business strategy, is to kind of build their trucks, build their their power sports vehicles, offer charging stations, and then partner with these large commercial businesses that transport hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of product every day, and they can then profit from that business as it kind of grows. And here is their, they have their financial statements, but you can see for 2020 there's really nothing, and a lot of this is what they expect to get. Obviously these numbers could go up or down. I would expect them to go up, but 150 million, 300 million by 2022. These are decent numbers. They're not amazing, but they're really good, and they're showing steady revenue growth. As they say here, 3.2 billion of revenue expected by 2024, and that's just of what the orders they've already had, and anticipating that those orders will continue. So, they also entered into a partnership with Vecto IQ, and this business competition expected to close in Q2 2020, and it will allow the Delaware corporation of Vecto IQ to control the company with the Nikola name, and then will be listed on the NASDAQ. And this allows for it basically allows for $709 million in cash to be brought over to the company, and for them to combine both stock platforms in order for them to have a much larger offering in terms of shares and in terms of cash on hand. So this is one of the main reasons for this partnership. So, as it just kind of goes in, it's getting to their kind of estimates for the future, how much they're planning to increase their EBITDA, and how much they are going to be increasing with new partnerships throughout North America and Europe, and hopefully into Asia eventually, right? And down here it kind of gives you their profit margins and their kind of revenue growth compared to other companies, especially the other electric vehicle companies. So as you can see, compared to like Tesla or compared to NIO, their revenue growth is substantially larger. In terms of their EBITDA and their margin rates, they are substantially larger than a Tesla and than a NIO. And this is mainly due to their targeting commercial and businesses. They're not looking to sell to individual people on the street. And this allows them to have higher profit margins, because companies are going to be willing to pay a lot more for a vehicle than me and you are, right? Like the average person on the street doesn't have $100,000 to buy a truck, right? Whereas a company like GM, a company like Anheuser-Busch does have that kind of money, and they see it as an investment for the future, where they could say, hey, we're reducing our global footprint, we're down to zero emissions by partnering with Nikola to transport our goods, and this allows us to save money in the long run by not buying so much gas and oil, and allows us to look better to new age investors, because we are getting out of the fossil fuel industry and getting into the clean energy and the kind of new new age, uh, the new age kind of mindset of going green and trying to get with the times and stop kind of relying on the fossil fuel industry and kind of move forward with this new electric vehicle technology that allows them, like Nikola has proven, allows them to transport their goods using electric vehicles and to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions substantially. And this is something that looks good on paper and eventually will look good to shareholders and to investors, because they will be able to, eventually pay off those vehicles, and then they will basically pay for themselves in terms of not having to purchase gas and oil. Now, obviously, there's bigger costs with fuel charging, with energy, electricity, and all of these things. There's still going to be maintenance. They're still going to have to be, repaired, but supposedly it's a lot less in terms of like dealing with electric vehicles than it is dealing with gas power. That gas is very damaging to the vehicle. So as it goes through the engine and the different parts of the vehicle, it does eat away at parts of the vehicle, which will reduce its effectiveness over time. And this kind of is why vehicles cost so much to repair after they've been driven for 10, 20 years, because they've just been so gunked up with gas and oil, and it doesn't allow for them to have a very long sustainable life, whereas Nikola's trucks and their sports vehicles or power sports off-roading vehicles do have that kind of sustainability, those kind of long life for a high cost, but eventually over time it will pay itself off, because with a gas powered car, maybe you would have had to buy 3 or 4 cars in the same length that you'll get out of the one Nikola truck. I'm not saying that that's guaranteed. I'm just saying that's what they're trying to sell, and that's what their kind of idea is for how they're going to approach the market and where they're looking to diversify their electric vehicle industry, is to target commercial and industry businesses, and not to target the average consumer. And obviously, if the average consumer wants to buy one of their Badger trucks from GM, then all the power to them, right? I'm sure they're looking to sell them to the public, but their major source of income will be these partnerships that will allow them to make substantial amount of income and charge premium prices for their vehicles to corporations that are willing to pay extra money, are willing to put in that kind of extra capital in order to reduce their greenhouse gases and kind of look better to the overall public and to the new age investors. They will look a lot better. Companies that say, hey, we are eliminating all of our fossil fuel vehicles and we're transitioning fully to electric vehicles, and this is going to help us be a clean company that is not destroying the environment. So that sounds good to a lot of people, and it will help the company in terms of branding and in terms of their kind of sway with the future looking individuals that kind of think outside of the box of the fossil fuel industry, and in terms of the next few years. This is definitely a long play. It's definitely not a play that I don't think that this thing is going to go nuts in the next year, but getting in at these levels might be reasonable for those that want to hold for the next 10 years, because as you've seen, it already shot up to almost $90 after the initial IPO, and now it's back down to 30, now 50 today, but it's probably going to go a little bit lower. Getting in around $40 is not necessarily a bad price for a company that is really just starting, is really just getting off the ground, is really just starting to put out their technology, is really just starting to introduce these new age solutions to old world problems that have been consistently becoming more problematic, especially with the crude oil crisis going on right now, the kind of short selling and the amount of oil prices that are going down. The oil companies are losing a lot of money, and oil prices might not rebound at all. We'll see if they're going to shoot back up to their levels they were at a few years ago, but as of right now, it doesn't look good for oil. So this is another reason why a lot of people are moving into electric vehicles, and why a lot of investors are starting to look to Nikola, including General Motors. So that is my stock pick of the week. We are talking about Nikola, and I just wanted to give you this update as General Motors has put in $2 billion into the company, and yeah, it's starting to trade higher. It's starting to look good, and it just broke 50, so now it's up to 52, almost $53. It's starting to push again. So I was thinking in these levels, it looked like it was kind of starting to break down, and it wasn't able to hold that $50 level, but now it seems it broke it, and it's starting to run again. So as I said, $40 looks pretty good right now, right? Even $30 a couple days ago, if you would have bought it 2 days ago, it would have been at $30, the lowest it's been since its IPO. And in this market, we might see a big flush again, because I'm expecting to see a little bit more of a crash, but we will see. With stocks like this, because they are a long-term play, you might not see them crash. You might just see them run, because all the businesses and all these companies that are starting to invest in them and that are starting to partner with them to manufacture their vehicles, they're going to start to invest in the company, because they're like, hey, these guys are doing, offering a service that nobody else is offering. Tesla can't offer the same type of vehicles because they don't have the same high-powered batteries or the same technology that Nikola has to produce these trucks, or these FCVs, these fuel cell electric vehicles that are powered by hydrogen, that allow them to tow a lot more volume and not have to sacrifice power. And that's something that you're going to see a lot of people talking about, is Nikola offering these services for these transport trucks, and the trucking industry is going to be revolutionized by this new age wave of electric vehicles. So that's that for Nikola. I do not hold shares in the company. I might in the near future, but as for right now, I do not have any positions in the company. I am waiting to see how things go after this big rush off the catalyst today. We'll see where things go, but I definitely like the company as a long-term play for the foreseeable future. Obviously, anything I say is just my opinion. Do not take it as trading advice. And yeah, keep an eye on this stock. Tell me what you guys think. If you guys like this video, let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and I will hit you guys up with another video over the next couple weeks. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.